Hello, everybody. So, just making a quick video here in the game development class, sort of the last week of class when everybody's really busy. We went over something kind of important for 3D modeling, and um, it's a time of the semester when there's not going to be much of a chance to get practice in it. So, I wanted to make a video so that you can refer to that uh, over Christmas break or whenever there's time to actually sit down and work through the things. So, here in Blender, we went over UV unwrapping so we can get better details into our models and did our second pass at animation. And to practice those, I pointed you towards this plugin I've been working on for Blender. As I find time, it's going slow. I'll put the link to it in the um, description for this video. Uh, but it creates full characters, sort of blank characters with correct proportions for um, humans. So full man character, full woman character can grab either one of these with full man. And um, since the plugin's not quite finished yet, we can just use the Python code. So if we just copy all this for the sake of the video, I'll um, do the way that shows the buttons. So we want to copy all of this Python code, which is also just this button right here. Bring that over to Blender and we'll select everything by hitting A and getting rid of that default cube and camera and light because we have cameras and lights in our game engine, so we don't need them in the model as well. And up here at the top, if you don't see it, scroll over to the scripting tab and we can just hit new and paste in that code, copy from uh, GitHub, or download and upload the file. Anyway, either way, uh, once the code's in here, just hit the run button and that will create a human shaped character with the right proportions and eventually, once it runs, there we go. Uh, and rigging so that it's ready to go. Uh, Lacking the details. Um, if I hide the meta rig for a second. Oh, it's lacking the details, but it's set up and ready for the details. If I scroll in, and like maybe look at the face, we can see there's already edges and vertices and things marking out the spots where those details need to be placed, and um, all the proportions are correct so that uh, an artist can just come in and do the work on the details and not have to spend a ton of time doing the setup stuff. And it is should be fully rigged. In our in-class example, somehow my skeleton got unparented from the skin, but it should be when we go in pose mode, we can rotate and uh, it's ready for the animations. Uh, if it's not, just remember to select the mesh and then in object mode, select the mesh and then select the skeleton and you hit Control P to set the parents. Uh, Set parent and then the skin should follow the skeleton around. In our case, it looks like it's working right this time, but there's no details. So to get the details in, we need to do what's called UV unwrapping. So we'll select the skin mesh here, and in these tabs at the top, you'll see UV editing. If we go to that tab, uh, should see this preview pane and the other one set in edit mode, which I guess we do need to make one quick change here. Let me go back to layout mode. And, well, since humans are roughly symmetric, I just took advantage of that and really only made half of it and used a mirror modifier. So if you want to, you may want to apply that since we're using the Godot game engine in class. Uh, Godot and Blender are synced up, so the game engine will recognize the mirror modifier here. But this little button looks like a wrench. That's going to be our modifiers. So select the skin, actually maybe all of them, and depending on your screen size, you might see the button, an apply button here. If not, you can click the little drop down and just hit apply to actually make those modifiers a more permanent thing. So now we have uh, both halves actually drawn. instead of one half drawn and one half generated. And then with that selected, we'll come over to the UV editing tab, and we need a way to lay these flat so we can edit in some details. Uh, and do that, select everything for the model you want and push U for unwrap. And there's different options. The basic unwrap's probably not any good, so undo that. You can try different ones. Project it from the view we're looking at it at. That can be useful to tell which face is which. Um, Oftentimes, Smart Project will work. It'll unwrap it and lay things out. So looks like that works. I see some hands. The face stuff's probably up there. Um, and there's been some change recently. We saw in class yesterday what formerly I would just take this and save it as a file, but that wasn't working. So there's also an export button. So once we get the layout we want from it, we go to UV, and down at the bottom is export layout, and just save this somewhere convenient. I'll just put it here in the document files for now. Export that. And then we have something we can open in any 2D editing graphic software. So I'll just use Microsoft Paint. That'll work. And we can start painting on this and adding details in. The way it laid it out, we'll have all these lines and they'll come back in. It might look a little funny. So there's a couple ways to handle it. And the easiest way is probably to add a new layer. So we'll create a new layer so that we're drawing here, and then this stuff is just kind of in the background. And then we'll just want to come through and add some details just to make it quick. I'll just grab a brush and maybe paint some red where the lips would be, and uh, throw some white on the eyes so we can see something. We scroll down here and put some tattoos on the arms. Just scribbling around with the mouse in this case. Obviously, if you're doing this, you probably want finer details. I seem to have lost my mouse. There it is. Put some sort of tattoos on this arm as well. And I think this is the front side. Yeah, the face was up above, so this must be the back side first, and then the one in the middle. There we go. That's something. Just probably want to spend a little bit more time. And then we can export that and wrap it around our character, but we probably want to fill it in with some roughly flesh colored thing. So I'll just grab that and grab a paint can and fill in everything that's not those details I worked in. There we go. And once all of the details are in here, um, probably a lot more than in this quick example here, we know the stuff's in the right spot, so we can turn off that layer that has the lines we were looking at and save these changes. Save. So now if we go back to Blender and make sure you switch to a view where we'll be able to see the materials. This plugin was started on an earlier version. This button's no longer here. I'll get it removed from that code. But if you're still seeing that, go to the Materials tab, click Use Nodes, and you should see the regular material, all of the material controls. And under Base Color, instead of just using a solid color, let's switch this over to an image texture. So click on the little yellow dot, come over to Image Texture, and just load in that texture that image we just created, which in your case should have a lot more fine details than what mine does. But we can see the stuff showing up in the correct spots now. A rough example, but looks like the character's got some tattoos on his arms, a little bit of color on his face, and just take the time to get the details, and that'll make the characters look really, really nice. So then we're ready to animate them. And we saw this earlier in the semester, but just a quick recap on it. Make sure you see your meta rig and make sure the skeleton is the parent of the skin. If we go to pose mode, we should be able to rotate and everything comes with it. Oh, looks like something changed there. It unparented, must have happened whenever it was making material changes or something. Uh, is anything still apparent? So if we go to pose mode and grab this, okay, it looks like the clothes still work. Yeah, so the clothes are still parented. We just need to get the skin back on there. So to do that, go to object mode and the order of selection matters. We want to see the menu for the skeleton because the skeleton is going to be the parent of the skin. So the last thing selected is the menu we see. So select the mesh for the skin and hold shift to select the skeleton itself. And then with your mouse in the viewport area, hit Control P to set parent. And automatic weights should be good. So select with automatic weights. And we can do another quick check. We select skeleton and go to pose mode. Now when we rotate things, yeah, there we go. The skin comes along with the skeleton. Looks good. And we're ready to animate this. So for that, we'll jump over to the animation tab. We have a little preview here. Probably want to zoom in so we can see it. And over on the other side, make sure the skeleton's selected and you're in pose mode for the viewport area. And down at the bottom, you'll see Dope Sheet when you first come here. Dope Sheet only allows for one animation, so we probably want a couple of them. If we come down on that drop downs and switch over to Action Editor, now we can create multiple animations. So to start with, maybe just a quick walking animation and an idle animation so that we have a couple in our game. So I'm going to hit New button and create a walk animation. Down here in the corner, first thing we're going to do is set the length of it. Do 23 frames. That's probably good. And for human movement, maybe pose your own body. Pay real close attention to what your body's doing. We did this in class, went through this process in class the other day, but we saw that when the human is walking, our arms counterbalance our legs. So if the left leg's back, then the left arm's forward. But when we're running, they go the same direction. So if the left leg's forward, then the left arm's forward. Other bipeds don't do that. Like chimpanzees still use their arms counterbalancing when they run. That's why it looks so different when they run than when we run. But just for a walk animation, and we saw that the leg that's back just posing our own bodies. The leg that's back will have a bent knee and toes pointed downward. If the left leg's back, then the left arm needs to go forward a little. And the other leg, we can rotate that forward. And the leg that's forward will have a straight knee and toes pointed upward. So just pose your own body and find all the positions. Move the left or the right arm back a little to counterbalance it now. And that's one side of our walking animation. So we'll set keyframes for that. Hit A to select all of the bones and I to insert a keyframe. And what to do is come one frame past. So it's 23 frames long, so it's going to hit frame 23, jump back to number 1. So I'm going to go to frame 24, which is one past where we loop at, and insert the same keyframe to make sure it goes smoothly. Then I'll come somewhere in the middle. Having done this for a while, human walk isn't necessarily symmetric. We're we're all either right-handed or most of us are either right-handed or left-handed. So one side of our body is stronger than the other. So, like in my case, I'm right. The right side of my body is stronger than the left side, so the right side moves a little bit quicker. But just subtleties depending on the level of realism you want to get to. I'm gonna go somewhere in the middle and go to the other side of the walk. So I'll grab the leg that's currently back and rotate it forward. The forward leg has a straight knee and toes bent upward. And then for walking, our arms are going to counterbalance and swap the other leg. So rotate that leg to be the back leg, and the leg that's back has a bent knee and toes pointed downward. And then when humans walk, our arms swing for counterbalance. Um, Maybe move the head just a little. I'm just going to rotate that ever so slightly so that it's like the head is bobbing just a little as walk's happening. Once again, hit A to select all the bones, and I to insert a keyframe. And now when we run this, we should see something that looks roughly like a walk animation. A start to a decent walk animation. I guess the legs could bend a little bit more there, but that'll work for now. Spend a little bit of time with it since this is a short video, that process. If there was more time, hit undo a couple times, and that back leg should probably be bending a little bit more than that. It looks a little stiff when he's walking. But once you're satisfied with the animation, we to use it in the game engine, we need all of the animations loaded into a stack. So that's this button right here. It says push down. Click fake user to make sure the software knows we're always using this, and then push that down onto a stack. So now we have that one saved. For a second one, let's just do a quick an idle animation. So I'm going to hit the new button again, which if you're still looking at the walk animation, this button right here is the new one. And I'll call this idle. With all the bones selected, push Alt R to reset to the rest position. For this one, let's go maybe 45 frames or something. Oh, I didn't save that reset, so Alt R. Frame 1 will just be at the rest position for this character. So I'll select all the bones, insert a keyframe, and once again come to the very end. In this case, it's probably good just to be close to it. And insert a similar keyframe so that it'll loop back around. Then somewhere in the middle, we want the character to do something, maybe around here. I'll have him look at his watch like he's getting impatient. Let's see if I rotate that like this, then turn it inward. Oh, there we go. So it's like the character's looking down at his watch, which probably need him to look down as well. Something like that. Then we can grab these little bones in the middle, and if we hit S to scale them out just a little so that it looks like he's taking a deep breath and sighing or something, getting impatient. Select all, insert a keyframe, and now we should have some sort of an idle animation. Character's just standing around, getting impatient, checking his watch. That'll work for an animation for now, for a quick one. And again, once you're satisfied with all the edits, and when more time when time allows. There's usually a lot of undo and redo until you get happy with it. But when you're happy with it, make sure you click the fake user button and push it down on the stack. So now we have uh, some details in our character and some animations of things that the character's doing. And we can switch which one we're seeing here. We go back to the walk animation. There we go. Some details and a bit of animation for our characters. So, oh, the length. Make sure you adjust the length. So that was, I think, 23 frames long. There we go. That that is an important thing for finishing out a character, and like we talked about in class, that's a skill set from game development that can be monetized very quickly. Because remember, we don't have to only sell full games; we can sell small assets for other people to make games with as well. All right. Hopefully, you'll be able to get some practice with that and not have to remember from class in a very, very busy week of the semester how we did those parts.